Hello everyone, I am Lady Lilybug, and welcome to the first of hopefully many art-related videos on this channel. I'm very excited to share some of my art with everyone here, and after some inspiration from PokeTubers like TrueGreen7 and Prague Magic, I decided to create a few Fakemon of my own and design an evolution of every unused type in the Pokemon universe. And with good reason. The most recent evolution announced was Sylveon back in Pokemon X and Y, and when was that? Valentine's Day of 2013. So it's time to show off some of my designs for the Pokemon community. The first type I would like to introduce is the Ghost type. This is actually the first one that I designed even before planning to make this into a video. I was playing Gartic Phone at night with the lads, as every gamer does, at 2 AM, and prompted, Pokemon has released the newest evolution, which is blank, and was given the name Eeveelution, the Bone Spirit Pokemon. Found in excavation sites near volcanoes, this Pokemon grew to evade the deadly nature of its surroundings and always wards off travelers as it fears for their safety. Those who have seen this creature in the wild often mistake it for the spirits of Eevee that went travelling with people near volcanoes and didn't survive the journey. These Pokemon tend to be very stoic and overprotective of the trainers, often to the point of scaring other Pokemon without meaning to, usually. Its shiny form resembles lava, much like where it's found, near volcanoes. Its evolution requirements is a Fire-type Pokemon in the party and have max friendship at nighttime. The second in this new lineup is the Dragon type. From my limited knowledge compared to those who are much more well-versed in the Pokemon lore, I believe that Dragon type is the most common for a pseudo-legendary Pokemon, which from my understanding is a really strong Pokemon that isn't a legendary but could be interpreted as one, or has been misinterpreted as one. Granted, I'm not making up any stats here, I'll leave that for someone who understands how the stats work and just stick to the designing. I wanted something that had a dark blue body for its primary colour since we don't have that in the colour wheel of canon evolutions. Say hello to Comodion, the Komodo dragon Pokemon. A mischievous creature, the Comodion is found nearby towns with the intent to cause chaos but not harm. In the past, this Pokemon may have been used in circus events to assist and perform using their ear-like wings to fly for brief moments. Its shiny is just inverted colours. The evolution requirements is to win a battle using the move Dragon Dance. For the third evolution, I wanted to divert from the order I drew these designs in and build up to some of my favourites. I did draw Eeveelution and Comodion first, but I figured it was time to tone down the designs for something a bit more simple and a little silly, so say hello to Subterrion, the tunneling dog Pokemon. This evolution is a simple creature known for their habits of digging endlessly with their shovel tail, using their glowing gem and paws to find their way around in the dark. It usually searches for gems and is never too far from a Geodeon that it protects and gives gifts to. Evolution requirements is a Geodeon must be present in the party. One thing I would like to mention with this design is bringing things back to the colour wheel idea, where each evolution is generally one colour that it has an association with, and there isn't really a red-based evolution. The closest we have is Flareon, but that's orange. So here's this red creature with a shovel for a tail, because, you know, basic symbolism. And we'll get back to Geodeon later. For this design, I went with the idea of a scorpion because I knew I could reuse the Vaporeon pose, particularly for its tail. Initially, I was only going to have one sharp pointer like an actual scorpion, but settled on the double pointed tail, kinda like a pickaxe. So here's the final design of Toxicoion, the poison tip Pokemon. A creature that many thought was a Vaporeon hiding in deep waters, Toxicoion is the evolution created by toxic environments that Eevee were found in the wild. They were first discovered in a lake used for dumping oil and other toxic waste. It resents Vaporeon and sees it as competition and will act hostile in response to a Vaporeon's presence. Its evolution requirement is to defeat a Vaporeon at nighttime. So here is the poison type, where its name is based on toxicology, the study of poison, with the eon suffix. Its normal color scheme has a grey body like a cauldron, such as, the details on its legs and tail, and has watery, bubbly effects with a light pink colouring on its face, and the bright colouring pink is based on how a lot of creatures with such colours are often poisonous, and their colours are a warning to stay away. For this next design, I really wanted to make this evolution have a very machine-like feel and quality, like an actual aircraft without looking like a steel type. Landing on the idea of a helicopter-based tail, this Pokemon is possibly my favourite of the entire video. Say hello to Propylarion, the helicopter Pokemon. Like many other assistants to Nurse Joy, this Pokemon became the first to assist directly in medical rescue and helps with retrieving injured Pokemon for Nurse Joy. They are found most commonly by Pokemon centers or scouting dangerous places to rescue other Pokemon. It uses its large tail to spin like helicopter blades and has smaller ears than all other Eeveelutions. Its evolution requirement is to revive an Eevee at the highest point on the map. With this Eeveelution design, my first thought was, do not make it look like a Ninetales. Yes, it's a fox. Yes, it's a second stage quadrupedal Pokemon, but do not make it look like Ninetales. Other than that, free rein on the design. So, here is Iridescent, the lucky rainbow Pokemon. The rarest of all Eeveelutions, the Iridescent is found as commonly as a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. Not much is known about this evolution, other than those who have gained one are overwhelmed with good fortune having Iridescent by their side. Evolution requirements: level up after rain stops falling. Now you may be thinking, what's with the rainbow fur, Lilla? Well, here I once again reference my own thoughts regarding the colour wheel idea. I wouldn't do a fully reddish-brownish design, otherwise that's just a large Vulpix, so I opted to refer to all the colours by making a larger Eevee with bigger neck fur and rainbow legs. As I mentioned before, Propylarion was a tricky one to design so it wouldn't appear as a steel type. But with some elements from other Steel-type Pokemon, mostly Magnemite's line, the most classic of Steel-type Pokemon, I present to you Aluminion, the battery-powered Pokemon. Usually confused for an electric type, this Pokemon battles using magnetic pulses to blast enemies away. This Pokemon is frequently used alongside technicians, having this Pokemon by their side when on the job. Otherwise, wild Aluminion are found in metal-rich caves collecting metals for themselves. Evolution requirements is to level up in one of these metal-rich caves. This next one I mentioned a little earlier when talking about Subterrion, and the two have a little lore together as a pair of best friends. This one I also wanted to include a dark blue body, but struggled with the name because I didn't want to copy Geodude, but who cares, it's a different tiny creature, so let me introduce you to Geodude, the Crystal Cave Pokemon. This Pokemon's body is very brittle, and it often avoids fighting in order to keep its body and appearance in pristine condition. Those who own this Pokemon are considered among the richest of trainers, and use it to flaunt their wealth. This Pokemon is often found in crystal caves in the wild, and eats gemstones to heal any breakages in its body. Its evolution requirement is to have an Eevee hold a Geode at the time of leveling up. For this next one, I recalled seeing one specific post a couple of years ago about a fighting type Eeveelution that had bandages, kinda like boxing wraps. Hey guys, Lilla in post-production here doing some editing. I actually did some research and turns out the fighting type that I was referring to was featured in a video from True Green 7 years ago. How about that? I took that inspiration and also added bandages to my design, similar to the ones from Sylveon's design, and created something similar to boxing wraps that you would use in, boxing. So let me introduce you to Hitruion, the kickboxing Pokemon. A tough and trustworthy ally, this Pokemon was very determined to be the best of the best as an Eevee, picking battles with anyone it could. When it reached time for evolution, it aimed to protect those who it could now that it had years of skill. Its evolution requirement is to defeat at least 5 different Eeveelutions. The name is taken from the hit prefix at the start of Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, and Hitmontop. As for Roo, I was inspired by the colouring choice I made to make it orange, and also add some kind of clothing, and of course the Eon suffix with every Eeveelution. Finally, the last Eeveelution of the video. We've come to the bug type, where my first point of inspiration was using Flygon wings as a base for the Eeveelution ears based on how similar the shapes are, with a bright colour selection, and this one being one of the most fun to design. Let me introduce you to Vexeon, the camouflage Pokemon. This evolution features many bright colours in both regular and shiny form, and other traits which ward off those who try to harm it. The circular patterns in its ears mimic big eyes, and its tail can resemble an Ekans, which initially confused researchers that this Pokemon was a poison type. Evolution requirements is that a member of the Togepi or Ekans evolution line must be present in the party. With the design of Vexeon, I incorporated multiple pieces of other Pokemon into its design. I already mentioned the Flygon wings used as ears, but the front legs feature little speckled spots based on the Togepi shell, and, although it's a bit of a stretch, the tail reminded me of an Ekans. Because of this, I decided they would be related to the evolution requirements for this Pokemon. And with that, here is all of my designs for the Eeveelutions with every type they don't have so far. I'm really happy with how these turned out, particularly Propylarian is my favourite out of the group. Maybe in the future I'll design more Fakemon, but who knows, I'd be overjoyed if True Green 7 or Prague Magic saw this, so please share this video with them or with any other Fakemon creators, and encourage them to make designs of their own Eeveelutions too. But that's all for now. See you next time.